Welcome to the Central Pennsylvania Real Estate Investors Meetup podcast, keeping you up to date with what is happening in the York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania real estate markets.
Hi, my name is Chad Eisenhart. I'm a local real estate investor in Central Pennsylvania. You can find me at themultifamilyinvestor.com. This evening, we're at Landlord Investors Mastermind Group in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The host is Judah Hoover with SlateHouse Group and a local real estate investor himself. I've been attending Judah's meetups for the last 10 years. This evening's speaker is Karl Diffenderfer with Higher Impact Business and Life Coaching. Karl discusses the secret sauce to achieving your goals, focusing on your dream, visions, and your goals, proper time management, being proactive versus reactive, which is more important, your habits, your goals, or your behaviors, how you don't need to make major changes, but doing small incremental changes is just as important, and delegating for successful business. If you're a real estate investor just looking to get started, or you have hundreds of doors, the best thing you can do for your real estate business is to talk to people. I find the best deals come from other investors. So make sure you attend your local meetups in your market and get out there and network and talk to other investors. And now, on to this week's show. Thanks.
Hey guys, well, I just want to welcome everybody here tonight. Just really quickly, note on the room, note on the attendance. It is my goal to fill this room. This is one of my goals that I have. There's about 40 people in the room here tonight. Typically, we have about 80 to 100 for those of you, and I appreciate those of you who come regularly nodding your heads so that the newbies know that I actually am serious with that. Tonight is the tax sale, and I have received several. What's that? Do you have a bus taking us there? No, I do not have. I have not yet been able to get government officials to do my beck and call, so getting them to reschedule their tax sale to meet my schedule was not something that was likely to happen. Right, exactly. So I think the tax sales are something that are important, and so I'm not going to begrudge anybody who wasn't here because of that. Here's the deal. 10 or 15 years ago, you could get a whole lot more traction doing postcards than what you can get today. I'm not stealing anybody's dream. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody. You can definitely do tons of deals by mailing out postcards to specific lists. And actually, there is a whole lot more refinement of those lists. It used to be that your options for lists to mail to people were, absentee owners, late on taxes, late on mortgage. Those were about the only ways that you could sift and sort property owners into more than likely real estate investors or people owners of rental properties to try and figure out what was going on, or distressed for some other reason to try and buy real estate. You can buy lists now for all kinds of things based on the equity that people more than likely have. With the advent of big data, we don't like it when Facebook or these data houses have our personal data, but having big data to sort and sift through algorithms really is a marketer's dream. I am always very cautious when my friends chime in on how much they hate how much of our data is collecting, because here's the deal. Nobody cares about Judah Hoover or what Judah Hoover's doing. But all these little bits, I appreciate that, my friend. I really do. So anyway, I think that's a little bit of what's going on. Last month, David Krulak was our speaker. Who was here to hear David Krulak speak? About 2/3 of the room. Wasn't that great content? I mean, he went so long we had to cut him short and we ran out of time. This month, Karl Diffenderfer is our speaker, and he's going to get up here in just a second. Harry Nail is going to be speaking next month. And Harry Nail's presentation is going to be on, he calls it like 6 documents you need to run a rehab or something like that. But it's these 6 key documents, but the conversation around those 6 documents is highly valuable, highly valuable information. And between me and my partners, directly or indirectly, as personally or as a member of a team, I have overseen and done 600 rehabs. I walked out of Harry's presentation that I just saw recently down in York getting a whole lot of information and taking notes and stuff like that. It is valuable, high-quality information, and I strongly encourage you to be here. Alan Swanson will be talking about documents you need to run your real estate business. You want to take a special note to these two dates because we typically meet the fourth Thursday of the month, not the last Thursday of the month in case there's ever a fifth. We meet the fourth Thursday of the month. In November and December, we bump that up a week, so we meet the third Thursday of the month so that we are not interfering with Christmas and Thanksgiving. Just a couple housekeeping items. We are a free club. We are open to all. Welcome to all. Tell your friends. Networking starts around 6:30. I was actually here and barely set up at 6:10 when people started to come in, and so that is excellent. I really think that nothing against any of our speakers or the content that I put together, but I think that one of the most valuable things that you can get out of this meeting is all of the networking opportunities and everything that there is. Bathrooms are down the hall. Feel free to come and go as you need to. Please silence your cell phones. It's funny, I stopped saying silence your cell phones and started asking people, is there anybody in the room who doesn't just have their cell phone on silent 95% of the time? Because it's like as a speaker, that's one of the things you always do when you're introducing a room is remind people, silence your cell phones. And I think it's almost outdated. And since I've been pointing out how funny it is that us promoters say that, like I've seen a huge spike in people who have forgotten to silence their cell phones. And I mean, I've heard more cell phones go off in meetings the past 2 months, not just here, but just in general, than I ever have before. Thank you guys for registering. Thank you for visiting our sponsors in the back of the room. And we're going to go over a couple of our other sponsors here. They put flyers out by the registration table. You want to be sure to grab those before you leave. Guys, this is just very important to me. This club is, everybody wave to Steve Swineford from Dietz and Bluth. I was going to give you a shout out later, but this is your official shout out, my friend. Great insurance guy. You should absolutely check him out. Guys, this club is a labor of love for me. I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. I've been doing this for about 15 years now, producing and developing and pushing out a whole bunch of great content. In our increasingly litigious world, I feel the need to remind everybody, I am not a CPA, I am not an attorney, I am not a financial planner. Please don't sue me. I am a licensed real estate professional in the state of Pennsylvania. And I do need to disclose that to you, or the Department of Real Estate would also have a cow. So here's who I am. I'm a problem solver. I'm a deal maker. I'm a connections creator, a networker, a coffee drinker, and a friend to all. Guys, there's not a way of making money that I haven't tried, and there's not a way of losing money that I haven't experienced. The company that I work with, SlateHouse Group, we currently manage just over 4,000 units. And as I said before, I've done about 600 flips. I used to have a hard money fund out there on the street of about $7 million at any one time. And I don't say any of that to brag. I honestly don't. I only say that to say this. If you're looking to do something in real estate, I've probably done it. I probably know about how to do it. It's funny, my boss came to me today asking me about subject twos because he knows that I've done tons of them and knows the ins and outs of them, and we're running into a little bit of trouble with one. So if you guys ever need any help at all, this is my personal contact information. There are 3 groups of people who have this cell phone number. Everybody else gets my business line. That cell phone right there, my friends and family, the members of this club, my kids' school. Those are the 3 groups of people that get my personal cell. Travis, you know, you're a client of mine on the SlateHouse side, and I give a different number to everybody. I have a different number on my card and everything like that. So if that cell phone rings, I assume you are a friend or family member or a member of this club. I jump to answer it. All right, so I want to just, before I bring you up, John, I want to just talk about Chad Eisenhart, who's here. Chad and I are working together with a number of the other real estate investor clubs in central Pennsylvania. And there has been a lot that have sprung up recently, and we've always been trying to work very closely together. You should definitely go to the one in Lancaster, hosted at the Hive there. You should definitely check out the one in York. You should check out April Crossley's in Berks County, and there's one in Lebanon. And there's a number of different really great networking opportunities. If you can't make it to this one, make it to another one. I go to 4 or 5 a month. That's how valuable I think these meetings are to my own personal real estate investment and developing. Chad and I are working on something where he is going to be producing and putting together a podcast that will feature these meetups. It can't replace the networking. It can't replace what you get from being here. It can't replace a lot of that stuff, but it will be all of them in central Pennsylvania. It's going to be the Central PA podcast. And so if you see us mic'd and you see a camera, that's a lot of what's going on there. Does that make sense? Cool. And we're going to edit out when we have questions or go around and introduce each other and everything like that so that it's podcast friendly. So never be afraid to stand up and speak or say something or anything like that.
And it doesn't cost anything to do that. Just help lay things out for you.
Thank you, John, very much. Guys, John's philosophy is he helps everybody whether there's a clear and direct path to business at the end of it or not. So if you are not sure what to do, not sure whether you can get financing or can't get financing or what it takes to get financing, John is a great guy. He's got creative financing options like this and vanilla financing options and everything in between. He is an absolutely awesome resource to talk to in the financing world. And I say that as somebody who spent 15 years in the financing world. So you definitely want to talk to John. Real Estate Hackers is a brand that me and a number of other individuals are working on launching, and we are developing a whole bunch of content around it. There is going to be a podcast associated with it that's already out there that you can check out. There's not a ton of episodes yet, but that's coming. We are launching a conference, building something out of nothing. And it is going to be at the Lancaster Convention Center, April 3rd through the 5th. There's going to be after-hours networking opportunities. Our goal is to have between 100 and 250 vendors there and roughly 1,000 attendees. Now, we might really screw up and only have 500 or 600 attendees there. The point is, it is going to be a can't-miss conference if you are in the real estate investing world. I'm doing this because conferences like this are how I got started in the business in 2002, 2003, 2004. I would go to 2 or 3 of these conferences a year. And how about it? There's just not that many around, anymore. And they were a great place for guys like us when we were coming up to go and learn a whole bunch of information. It's not going to be a giant pitch fest. There's not going to be a bunch of courses for sale and things like that. I'm sure there will be some of that, but most of it is going to be great speakers looking to deliver and develop great content. There will, like I said, with how many vendors we're going to have there is going to be people there who do self-directed IRAs, there's going to be attorneys there, there's going to be property management companies there, there's going to be title companies there, there is going to be a whole bunch of people doing a whole bunch of things, and it will be a can't-miss event. If you're not interested in registering right now, totally understand that, but at least get it on your calendar so you plan your vacation another weekend. By the way, this URL is realestatehackersconference.com. I've had such a busy week. I wanted to capitalize the R and the E and the H and the C. I know that should be done so that stands out a little bit more, but realestatehackersconference.com. Check it out. If you use the discount code Meetup, you can save $50. And who doesn't love $50? It's like $300, $400, something like that. It's not, too big. for those of us around here, what's great about it is you don't have to, stay in the hotel, though we are getting a block of hotel rooms at a discount. And Lancaster has a lot of really cool restaurant, bar type things in the area right downtown. And so there's going to definitely be some after-hour networking and meet and greet type opportunities. We're so committed to this, we've hired a full-time person. The partners who are putting this together, we've pooled resources, and we've hired a full-time person who is running this conference for us, doing all of the, legwork to make it happen and things like that. It is, if it doesn't come off excellently, hi guys, I knew that there was more people here who were just lost in the hotel someplace. I hate when they do this to us, but I love this hotel so much, and they're always so kind to us. Guys, I'm serious about this. I need more emails. What do you want to hear? What's missing from most courses? What questions do you have? What do you hate about the current real estate information industry? What forms do you need? I actually have 18 different versions of most of the forms that I use because I use, I've bought so many books, tapes, and seminars over the years that, people ask me if you have a lease, and I'm like, yeah, which one do you want? People say, do you have a one-page purchase contract? And I have like 3 one-page purchase contracts and 1 or 2 two-page purchase contracts and a dozen of the other big, long legalese ones. But I always use a simple purchase contract. If you need a document, I was talking with somebody just this week about an assignment of lease contract. And I haven't gotten it to them yet. And the flyer that I use when I put out flyers on houses, that say we buy houses and stuff like that. What documents do you need? I probably have it, and I want to give it to you. And I also want to know what people are looking for. LAMG Resources, Accurate Rent, it is free. Guys, I track this, and I'm really surprised that this doesn't get used 100 times a day. I get 10 to 15 hits a month, or 10 to 15 hits a day on this website. I'm surprised that it's not closer to 100. It is based on our information. What's that? Yeah, I know. I see Travis's. But it's when people ask me, Judah, Judah, I want to rent out 123 Main Street. What do you think it'll rent for? I do 3 things. I go to Zillow, I go to rentometer.com, and I go to Accurate Rent. I don't trust and then I use, my own, what do I think it's going to rent for, factor in there too. But this asks a whole bunch of questions to kind of query our data. Remember we were talking before about big data? If Travis were to say to me, Judah, what will a 2-bedroom apartment at 123 Main Street rent? I can take my 15 years of real estate knowledge and experience and kind of come up with probably an intelligent guess. But what's that intelligent guess based on? Our data, right? Well, we build an algorithm that just directly queries our data and puts together a rent estimate for free out to everybody. Yes, it will put you on our mailing list for SlateHouse Group. Yes, you will get an email once a quarter or so from Chad. Yes, I constantly bug Chad that we should be emailing our mailing list at least once a month, and we can't quite even get that done. So don't feel that you're signing up for the typical drip campaign, 1 email a day for 10 days, and then 1 email a week for 4 weeks, and then 1 email a month from that point forward. You do not get inundated with yeah. So buyers. What's that?
Is there an API that we can hit?
What's that?
Is there an API?
There is not an API that you can get, but thank you for asking. So Buyers Network, I've helped 53 people so far. I just had somebody, I was going to say earlier that, it's been a little bit since I've done a deal. I talked to somebody just, earlier today who has 2 properties that he wants to sell, and I'm talking to him tomorrow at 2:30 to try and line up a time to find some buyers for him. Guys, I want to be a resource to you. Email me if you're looking to buy something, if you're looking to sell something, whatever you need. I'm absolutely here for you. Judah@slatehousegroup.com is my email. Facebook page, Landlords Investors Mastermind Group. This is kind of cool. I just checked this out. We're up to 4,000 views on our YouTube channel. I don't know. Maybe that's not too sexy to some of you. I think it's kind of cool because it's me and it's what I did. This summer has been really busy. I haven't developed and put out a whole lot of content. I moved, my ex-wife moved, we moved our office. I have 4 kids that all started new schools. One of them was in a middle school. So summer was kind of crazy, so I haven't been doing my walk the property videos and putting out a whole bunch of content the past 2 or 3 months. That's all about to change at a high level. So YouTube channel, LIMG Club, is a great way to just get more contact and information. Now, I told Karl that I was going to stand up here and speak for about half an hour and then turn the mic over to you. So here's the deal, guys. I know Karl because one of my parallels in the company uses Karl as his success coach and pays him big bucks every single month to be a resource and check in and say, should I do this or should I do that? I'm trying to accomplish this goal. Is that meaningful? How should I break that down? So Karl, I know that he does individual coaching. He is not here to pitch that. He is not here to sell that, though that's definitely something that he offers. I wanted him to come in because I'm 40 years old. I lied on the Amway application at the age of 17 to join network marketing. I've always been an entrepreneur. I quit my job within 6 months of buying my first rental property. I haven't had anything but 100% commission or entrepreneur job since I was like 20, I think is the last time I had a salary. So I am totally inundated and immersed in all of the rah-rah everything, right? And there's a lot of really good stuff out there. I've seen it all. I know it all. I am also helplessly addicted to it all, but I can separate the wheat from the chaff really quick, okay? Karl is the wheat. Karl knows what he's talking about. Karl's a local guy working with local real estate investors, real estate professionals, and also just from other professions that I know and personally can attest to what he has done to their business. He's going to tell you about his credentials when he gets up here, but I am telling you, I know people that I've asked behind his back.
Oh no.
What's that?
Oh no.
Whether his stuff is any good and whether there's any actual value there, whether it's fluff and hot air, right? Because we all know that. It's real easy to sound good and just really be fluff and hot air in a lot of this rah-rah business. Karl really knows what he's talking about. I'm going to be sitting here taking notes. I would encourage you to do the same. Ladies and gentlemen, Karl Diffenderfer.
Thank you, sir. Hi, everybody. My name's Karl Diffenderfer from Lancaster County. Yes, you can tell by the last name. I'm not Amish. Didn't grow up Amish. I have earrings. And I'm here to have a good time with you guys tonight. This is kind of my last 7 years of a journey as being a coach. I do about 500 sessions a year with business executives, owners, individuals. I actually have a client in the room. Didn't know they were coming, but that's cool. We'll see if they acknowledge that they're here at some point. Thanks, Brandon. So I get to study people all day long, and it's a great job. I love people. I love getting to know what makes them tick. And so hopefully what I have to share today will help you as you go on your journey. Now, one of the things that I work with is helping people build a plan. One of the greatest requests I have from people is, I want to build a plan. My plan isn't clear. What do I do with that? And so I help them with that as a coach. So I got a question for you. Has anyone here figured it all out? Has anyone arrived? I would ask you, if you have arrived, why are you sitting in this room right now? Because you'd be sitting on a beach drinking a margarita or something, but none of us have figured it all out, right? And how many of us like hanging out with people who have it all figured out? It can be annoying, right? So I ask you those questions to kind of set the stage tonight, that I'd like to challenge you to take a small bite of humility for the evening to say, okay, how can I work on me? Because obviously the outside circumstances of what happens in our life we can't control, but we can control this, right? And so not everybody likes to hear that. I guarantee you I'm going to say some things tonight that probably will rub you the wrong way, but it's to challenge you. It's not to make you mad. I don't want you to hate me, but I do want to challenge you to think outside the box. So I'm going to do that tonight. Everybody on board with that? Yeah? Good. Okay, so been doing coaching sessions. When you coach people and you just constantly sitting down with them, you start to learn patterns of people. And so I started to look at different types of people, and I realized, now which one's the laser here? The bottom one? No, not that one. Underneath? Where's the laser, Judah? There we go. So, it's okay. Did we run out? Yep, one more. I do not, no. I'm sorry, I didn't print out enough. Here's what I found. We are human doings, right? No, we're human beings. And yet we're so good at being human doings, especially with what you guys do. You guys work hard. My dad's a broker of two agencies, so I know your industry a little bit, and you guys work hard. So we're not human doings, we're human beings. But how do we be? What does that look like? What do you guys think? How do you be? It's a hard question, right? So what I've found is that there are ways that we can be, and then there are ways that we can do. And in coaching, sometimes what I do with people is I help them create moments of pause in their day. And then with that, we create reflection and then awareness. You've all met somebody that's not very aware, right? You see, you see what they need to change, but they can't see it. And we're also guilty of that ourselves. And so what I do as a coach is I help people just slow down because we go, right? Now, some people, though, are really good at just slowing down and not doing anything, right? We also have friends that, they just sit around and they don't do anything, they don't get anything done, and they come on. Well, the other people, I help them be more intentional and create action. Now, the only way to actually perpetuate this motion of being aware and then creating action is actually through accountability. I want to share an interesting statistic with you. You are 96% more likely to achieve a goal if you have somebody holding you accountable to it that's going to meet with you at a specific time. 96% people. That's huge. So as a coach, I hold people accountable. That's a lot of what I do. Say, hey, we actually have homework. You can ask Brandon, we have homework. How'd you do on your homework? His wife just said to me a few minutes ago, yeah, I was at home working on my homework because we have a coaching session tomorrow. And so, we have this, sorry guys, we have this homework that we do as a coach, and I help them do the stuff they need to do. So if you're anything like me and you have low follow through and you overcommit and underdeliver, somebody's raising their hand in the back, we are all guilty of that, right? Then maybe you should get somebody to hold you accountable. And you don't got to pay me to do it, find somebody. Find somebody and be consistent with your meeting time. Now, I've found that when people pay you, they're more likely to take it seriously, but find somebody. Be serious about it for you. Okay? Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Okay. So, I'd like to take a moment to reflect with you guys. I'd like some participation. You guys are going to make this fun tonight, all right? This is not just about me. So, what are some things that you're most proud of this year? Anything. Business, personal, exercise, doesn't matter. Health.
My new house.
Nice. Is that you, Judah?
Yeah, my new house.
Nice. Yeah, that's always a good feeling to move into a new house. Who else?
New job.
New job, okay.
Fancy vacation.
Sold a house, okay.
Fancy vacation.
Nice, yeah, they're so much fun. What else? What was that? That's great. That's a big success. What else?
I got my first truck owner operator.
Nice. Good.
I was able to take 4 to 5 weeks off, and the business still ran.
Nice. I like people like you. I do that too. Yes.
Started a wholesaling business and completed 3 deals so far.
Nice. You guys are busy, but it feels good, doesn't it? The successes of the year.
My wife's still married to me.
Thanks. That's great, Brandon. So what things set you back this year? Now, this is going to take some vulnerability on your part if you want to share. What are some things that set you back this year? New baby. Yeah, that. I have 4 kids. Yeah.
My own decision.
Your own decision? Yeah. We kind of make decisions that we look back on and say, why did I make that decision? Yeah. What else?
Had to have the engine rebuilt on my new truck.
That's awesome.
Death of a very close friend.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's definitely a setback. What else?
Employees, contractors, moving out of state in a month.
What'd you say?
3 employees or contractors moving out of state within a month.
Oh, no. That's tough. Anybody else want to share? Yes? Bad data, yeah. Yeah. So, now I know that was hard. Appreciate you guys sharing that. We as human beings actually appreciate vulnerability, authenticity. So I appreciate you guys sharing. Now, I guess the final question is, how are you getting in your own way of your own success? Yeah.
Being self-busy.
Self-busy, is that what you said? Pity, okay. Pity, okay. What else? Too many excuses, lack of faith. Okay, what else?
Prioritizing people over ourselves.
Okay. Okay. You're a yes lady. What else?
Letting distractions take up your time.
Okay. Email, right? Like email does that to us classically. Anything else? Yes.
Still doing jobs below my pay grade.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always nice to make more, and then when you're not making that money, you're like, why did I do that? Yeah, I hear you. Well, good. So I'd like you to now just take a little bit more time reflecting with me. First question. I'd like to hear a raise of hands who's using their time wisely right now. 50% of the time. Okay. Who's taking who's not taking anything for granted? Okay, so you're thankful. That's good. That's actually probably one of the greatest keys to be content. Okay, keeping a healthy perspective. Who's keeping a healthy perspective right now? Good, good, yeah, good. Positivity. Who's living to their true self? Nice. So you guys are doing great. Why are you here? You know, it's interesting. You guys might say, "Well, why did Judah invite me to this? Like, why am I here? Like, this isn't really talking about properties or contracts or anything like that." I've found in business, no matter what you do in business, no matter what you do for work, you're going to get in your own way. And so if you take some time to work on you, you can actually get better. So if you could get 40% more time back, what would that do for you? Or if you could have more confidence, what could that do for you? If you could make more money, what could that do? Well, usually the thing that's getting in the way of that is right here. So tonight we're going to work on you guys. All right, what else do we have on here? Who's waking up in the morning ready to take on the day? I am. Who's taking some time for personal solitude at the start of their day? It's not on here, but who's doing it? That's really powerful. I do that. It's amazing. I journal every morning. Who's putting enough effort into the important relationships? Good. Well, you guys are on fire. All right. I think I covered those well. There's a lot more on there. By the way, all of these are, I'll show this to you in a minute, but this is our coach's toolkit. All of these, or some of these, a good chunk of these are from the coach's toolkit. If any of you like what you see up here and you're like, hey, Karl, can you send me one of those? I can send it to you. I'm not going to send you the whole thing because that's how I make my living, but I would love to share it with you if you see one that you really like that you'd like to do as a personal exercise. It's a PDF. You can print it out and have at it. Okay, we got a lot to go through. This is my beautiful family. I've got 4 kids and a wife, almost 20 years. We're getting close. I'm very grateful for them. This is Heaton, Arctura, me, my wife Jill, my 17-year-old feisty son Aiden. He's testing me as a father right now, but he's a good kid. And my youngest, Ariana. So I just thought I'd share that with you. I'm actually 3 different companies. I have about 25 employees total. And so I have Higher Impact Virtual Assistance Company as my team in the Philippines that helps to provide virtual administrative assistance to business owners here. And I also own a website company. Part of my background was that I actually started my first company in 2004, and I failed miserably in my first try. 2006, I was able to build it up enough that I could go full time. My first year in business, I made $17,000, and our furnace went out. I had 2 kids and a wife, and my wife did not work. It was a tough year. We ended up using wood that winter to heat, and I get up at 2 a.m. and fill the wood stove and go back to bed. But I made it. I pushed on. And so if any of you are in that spot where you're like, can I do this? If you had a dream when you started, keep pushing on. You can do it. It takes a lot of tough guts, but you can do it. I have other companies in the works, by the way. This is the coaching team. And we actually have 1 person that just added that's not on this list, but I have a great team of people, and we've spread out from Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, Frederick, Maryland, Baltimore, and here. So we have 4 different locations. 15 years as an entrepreneur. I sold my marketing company when I was 32 to start coaching. And I love coaching. I can't say how much I love sitting down with people, helping them figure out what makes them tick and helping them figure out how to be successful. I had an award-winning business, generated millions, hundreds of customers around the globe. Now I'm doing authorship, like writing books, and a public speaker. I've started, built, bought, merged, and sold many companies, currently owning 3, and 10 coaches. Right now, I work mainly with business owners, executives, and high net worth individuals. But I do actually do pro bono work sometimes where I help people out who are in a tough bind because I've been blessed and I can hand it on to them. These are some of the systems that I use in my training, and I've also been trained in. Some of the things that I help people with. And by the way, I'm just going through this stuff quick so you know about me, but I'm really not here to do a sales pitch, but I do want you to just know a little bit about who I am. Freedom to take a vacation. Everybody wants to take more vacations. Helping people get along. You know how it is in a workplace, not everybody gets along. Business growth, building strong infrastructure. Bird's eye view of their business, accountability, increased knowledge, increased profit, finding good employees, getting rid of bad employees. Leadership growth, increasing sales, delegating more so you have less on your plate. Poor customer experience, tracking your ROI on marketing, and automating your business. Those are some of the things that I do in my business coaching. Love it, love it, love it. I love businesses and processes and people. It's all fun. Some of the ways I do that: workshops, mastermind groups, coaches, my coaches toolkit, business coaching, personality profiles, group trainings, team audits, and live webinars. Okay, enough about that. There's my toolkit. Just built that this year. I am fortunate enough, yes, I get to kayak, I get to fish, I get to golf on the coaching while I'm coaching people. It's a cool, cool job. This is my overseas team. All right. Now, into the meat of things. So, some of the things, I would like you to take a moment to think about these words for a moment. And I'd like to hear from you, what are some of the words that stand out to you on this, and what does it mean to you? Or is there any words that are confusing for you? What's the word that stands out to somebody and why? Yes?
Clarity, just knowing exactly what you want, because we don't know what you want.
Yeah, I run into that a lot. Here's a great example. Somebody will say to me, I want to lose weight. Okay. And then I say, okay, well, let's set a goal around that. Okay, my goal is lose weight. That doesn't really help, right? So they need to be a little bit more clear about it. How much weight? How are you going to do that? Be more specific. What's another one? Stands out to you?
Purpose.
Purpose, yeah?
Reminds me of Sinek's book, Start With Why.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, Sinek says, people don't care what you do, they care why you do it. He's a great marketer, great TED Talk to watch if you haven't watched it. What else?
Meaning, what does it all mean?
What does it all mean? Yeah, why are we here? Right? Good.
I would say confidence, Carl. I
Okay.
sometimes struggle with the line between being confident but also being arrogant or coming across as a know-it-all, or being maybe that's my own self-limiting belief, is that I feel I come across in an unhealthy confidence.
I've been accused of that too. Yes, some people are like, "You're," and yeah, I get that. I can come across that way. It is actually for me. It's just a confidence of just saying I can do this. I might mess up, I might fail, but I can do this. And I get the sense that's what yours is too. What else? And by the way, I do fake confidence sometimes. I was a little nervous sitting up front here in the beginning, so you can fake it till you make it too. What else?
I also think attitude is huge.
Attitude's humongous, yes. So these are some of the words that have stood out to me in coaching as being the beginning of how you begin to create momentum in what you're doing. If you don't have these things, you're going to be like, have you ever watched a ship sail out of the harbor and then thought about, okay, what happens if they're 2 degrees off and they're going towards Europe? What does that do? They're going to end up where they don't belong, right? 2 degrees. Not very far off, but it adds up. The same is true of you in your life. So having the clarity of where you want to go and how important that is to you, the motivation to get there, your clear purpose, all of that stuff is really, really important. So how many of you guys watched the video that I sent out last week? Some of you maybe, yeah? In the video, last year I was in a coaching session with somebody and they said to me, Carl, what's your vision for your company right now? And there was silence because I had already achieved what I had set out to achieve in my company. I actually achieved more than I wanted to in my coaching company, and I hadn't recreated a new vision. How many of you have ever done well? So you're coming to the spot where you've started to get to where you thought you were going to get to. Yeah? I mean, all of us have at some point in our lives, right? So I didn't have a vision. I said, oh, crap, I need a vision. That's bad. I'm a coach. I should have a vision. All right, let's get a vision. How do I get a vision? What would you say? How do you get a vision? How do you get a vision for where you want to go? Start with your why. Nice. He's watched that Simon Sinek video. What else, though? Yes, that's exactly what I had to do. So how many of you remember being 18, 19, 20? We don't have any the younger ones in the room. Yeah, we're okay. How many of you guys, how old are you? You're younger. Oh, okay. You kept your young look. That's good. How many of you remember being about 20 and thinking you could conquer the world? Yeah. What happens to that? Where does that go?
His name is Chris Kenner.
Chris Kenner?
Long story.
Oh, somebody took that away from you.
Someone took it away.
Okay. I was like, who's Chris Kenner? So people take that away from us, but what else happens to our dreams? They become, yeah, reality sets in, right? Compromise, sure. What else?
You quit keeping promises to yourself.
Okay. So you lose hope in yourself, maybe?
The lack of integrity.
Okay.
I think our dreams change.
Yeah, mine have. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think a lot of people stop having dreams. They stop looking forward to the future. They feel that, it has to be day to day. They don't feel that exhilaration of, new ideas.
Yeah, the passion for where could I go? All the places we could go by Dr. Seuss. Yes?
I would say that probably other shorter term priorities kind of get in the way.
Okay. Okay. That actually kind of goes back to the reflection awareness thing. I take one day. Right now it's about once a quarter. I like to do it once a month. I just don't have the bandwidth right now to do it. But I take one day, I take a fold-up chair, I go sit in nature. Don't do it in winter. Go sit in nature, take my journal, I just write for the day. I know that sounds really weird, but the things that I get out of that day are invaluable. If you've never done it, try it. So dreaming. I'm still on that journey of coming back to the dream. I'm writing stuff down. I'm journaling like mad. I'm filling up journals. By the way, who believes in journaling? Who's ever tried it? Yeah? Good. Who's fell off the bandwagon but needs to get back on? It's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. Give yourself grace. But yeah, journaling has been a big part of helping me dream again. And what that does then is it helps me have vision. And when I have vision, then I can start to have the plan. You can't do it the other way around. It doesn't work, people. It doesn't work. So if you stop dreaming, start dreaming again. Start thinking big. Now, and by the way, I have decided that I'm getting rid of goals. I have behaviors, and my goals are my checkpoints. A behavior is something you do constantly, right? It's something that's part of your daily routine. It's not something you're going to stop doing. A goal, typically, in my experience, has an endpoint, comes to a close. I don't like that. I think if we know what we should be doing on a day in, day out basis, then we will achieve the success we're after, right? So it's not really about the goal. The goal is a checkpoint of saying, oh, okay, yeah, I achieved this financial amount or this many properties or whatever it is you're after. But are you done then? Are you really done? Most people aren't. A lot of people are addicted to their job.
Karl, that's revolutionary for me. That's jumping out off your page at me, and I got to interrupt just to say
Sure.
that I've been tracking goals. I've not been tracking goals and behaviors separately. I am tracking those together on one list of things, and I need to separate out my goals and my behaviors. That
Agreed.
for me was worth the price of admission right there.
Cool. I'll double my fee. Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe some group on Facebook or something like that. I heard this theory where you need to track
That's
your
huge.
habits, track your behaviors, track the things
I've been doing that wrong.
control. Because if you say you have a goal, you want to sell or acquire, or that will come as long as your activities.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I track that. Like, let's talk about sales for a second. I track with my clients the specific actions they need to take repetitively, behaviors they need to do over and over and over. And then we look at it and we watch the curve. We watch it go up and down based on, okay, this week you did 10 cold calls and you got 1 proposal presentation. Or let's do it differently. 20 cold calls, 20 cold calls, 5 proposal presentations. I'm trying to be realistic, and 1 sale. Well, now we know if they do 20 calls, they can get 1 sale. Okay, that's simple math at that point, right? So if you track your behaviors, then you can start to say, okay, is this actually working or is this not working? And change your behavior. A lot of people are doing behaviors they shouldn't be doing. So consider getting rid of goals. That's actually the name of this tool in our toolkit. Okay, so now I'd like to talk with you a little bit about the clarity of what's going on in your day-to-day. By the way, this will all come together in the end. I know I just hopped from one topic to another. But what I've found is it's kind of like we have a funnel in our minds. And something comes in. And by the way, you guys all have the sheet in front of you. You noticed I have different categories on there. Different things, different boxes. Why did I do that? Any ideas? It's kind of annoying probably for some of you because you're like, no, I just want the open space. Flip it over, use the other side if it annoys you that much. But why do I do that? Why do I have the different boxes? It's very specific. Any ideas?
Ideas separate?
Pardon me?
Keep your ideas separate.
Yeah, you saw that, yeah? At the end of go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Sheets? Where are the leftover sheets?
They're gone.
They're gone. We're
Yes.
out.
If anybody would like it, I can send it to you.
You're sharing with Natalie.
I'm sorry, guys. What?
No, I just have one I need for him.
Email me because I won't remember. I found this. A lot of times something comes in our mind, and how many of you like write it down with everything else that you've written down? And then you forget about it, right? So what would happen if you would have a different page for each topic or category of things that you have in your life? So ideas, tasks, projects. There could be a myriad of different. I have a list for movies that I want to watch. Because how many of you have ever gone out, or you've gone and you sat down on the couch and say, what movie are you going to watch? I don't know. Well, I opened the movie list. All right, well, here's some of the previews that we saw that we really liked. Takes away the headache. Books I want to read. But ideas actually, and you can't see it here, but ideas they ruin our goals. They do. They get in the way. And I know you well enough to know that that's true for you, fellas. I know this guy up here. We've known each other for a long time. The ideas get in the way of our goals, don't they, right? Because the idea is like, oh, that's so exciting, squirrel, and we're gone. If you guys have seen that movie, that's great. So ideas have to be put on a separate piece of paper away from everything else. I actually pull out my ideas on my rejuvenation day where I get away, and that's when I think about the ideas. Now, sometimes an idea is boiling in my mind, or just it's kind of building up there, and yeah, I'll write out that idea. But I found that if I have an idea and I wait for a week or two, maybe 3 weeks, chances are I'm not actually going to do that idea. Whereas before, I would have gotten halfway done with that idea, never finished it, and it would have just sat there undone forever. So ideas are really, really important to separate out. We also have tasks, we have projects, and we have calendar events. Now, what's the difference between those three? How would you describe the difference between a task, a calendar event, and a project? Okay, that's interesting. Never heard that. Who else? How would you differentiate between them? A task can be in a project, right? But a project is really a group of tasks. But what's the difference between a project or a task and a calendar event? Time priority, yeah. A calendar event has to be done at a certain time, right? Now, how many of you put something on your calendar and don't do it at that time? I was guilty of that for a long time. When I became a coach, I said, okay, I got to be serious about this. I'm going to be serious about it. It drives my wife nuts. Brandon's seen my calendar. It's insane. But I time block everything. And if I don't do it, I'm not allowed to delete it. I have to move it. So I'm very, very, very careful about what I put on my calendar. Because otherwise, if I'm not going to do it, then why put it on my calendar? I have a question over here. Did I see a right hand? Or no, somebody was scratching their head? Okay. So the beginning of my funnel is I say, okay, is it an idea, task, project, or a calendar event? After that, if it's a task, no specific due date, I decide, is it going to be today or later, and does it need to be time blocked? Is a calendar event, specific time associated, I define the who, what, where, when, and I actually put it into the right day. Now, this is a little bit of the entrepreneurial time system right here. I'm not going to teach this to you tonight, but if you'd like to learn it sometime, happy to sit down over coffee and teach it to you. It's used by entrepreneurs all over the country, probably all over the world. The empower days are my administrative days. My impact days are my revenue producing days. And I have an 80-20 rule. 80% of my day is focused on that thing. 20% is allowed for overlap. And so 6 of my hours of that day, if it's an impact day, I'm doing revenue producing activities for 6 hours. Think about how much I can get done. It's amazing. When I started doing this, I was like, wow, I'm actually killing it now. I also have disconnect days, no work activities, because I'll tell you this now, people, if you do not learn how to disconnect from what you love to do, your work, you will burn out and you will learn to hate it. I see it happen time and time again. I tell people all the time, sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But if you do not know how to disconnect from work, figure it out. Sorry, that's really bold, but I'm serious. I want you to love what you do. And if you love what you do right now, you're going to hate it eventually if you don't know how to disconnect from it. Now, part of disconnect is actually, I found that we pursue what we want. So if we want to pursue our work, we're going to pursue it. But when we get home, what happens? We're still on this, right? So we're not actually disconnected from work. We're still pursuing work. So what would happen if you were to put this down and pursue your family, pursue your loved ones, or whatever it is that is outside of work that you need to focus on? Because at the end of the day, do you live to work or work to live? Right? Both, yeah. He's a wise guy. We have to live to work, but at the end of the day, we're working to live. We're here for relationships. You never heard somebody on their deathbed say, "I wish I'd worked more hours." They always say they wish they'd spent more time with their family or their loved ones. So this is, and then the idea list. Oops. The idea list is what I move on to my reflection day, and that's where I gain clarity about where I'm going. So if you ever feel muddled about your plan, take a day off and just spend some time in a coffee shop or go out into nature. I love nature. Take a fishing rod with you if you like fishing. And just disconnect for a while and think. Yeah?
Just out of curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
did you go to a state park or something like that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was curious, in nature, is it Long's Park or is it more nature?
No. I live down by the river, towards Columbia, Marietta area. So I go down to the river trail, or I might go up to Governor Dick in where's that? Mount Gretna. It's a big old fire tower. You can climb up to the top, and there's a lot of different places. There's tons of neat places you can just sit and look at nature, and you'll see things you never saw before. Okay. Another thing I had to learn was the difference between proactive and reactive. How would you guys define the difference with that? Yeah, there you go. Reactive is putting out fires constantly. Proactive is saying, how do I never have to put this fire out again? Now, there's a couple ways to do that. Maybe it's something that needs to be fixed that's broken inside of what you do or your organization. Maybe you need to create a process. Maybe you need to hire somebody to do it. I don't know. You got to define that for you. But I've found that the more I focus on proactive, the less reactive I have. Now, it takes time, because when you focus on proactive, you actually have to take some time to stop and fix that once and for all. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some redoing it again and again, but you can do it, and it's very powerful. My overseas team that I showed you, I've taken tons of hours to teach them how to do the things that I need them to do. I sketched half of these tools in this book, and they built it in Google Docs for me so that I didn't have to do it. So I sketch it, they create it for me. They created this PowerPoint. They were working on it this morning. I told them this is what I want on there, they built it. You could do that too. Overseas people love the work. I know we're taking work out of the community, but it actually makes you more successful so you can have more jobs back here. A lot of people have had that argument with me, but at the end of the day, I'm supporting people, whole families that love the work. They want to be providing for their families, and you can pay them $6 to $10 an hour. No taxes. They're just considered to be a line item on your books. It's very powerful. Now you got to know how to use digital. So if digital is a tough time for you, come and talk to me. I can help you with that. All right. So I want to do a group exercise. Yes.
You say you use virtual assistants?
Yep.
Okay.
I have. The one company is called Virtual Assistance Company, and we bridge the gap between the Philippines and here, and teach the Filipinos how to do the work for you, so that you can delegate more and get more freedom in your organization.
How many do you have?
I have 6 in the Philippines and 2 in India. So I talk to them every day. They're my friends. They've worked for me several of them have worked for me for almost 10 years now. So they're very loyal people. That's one of the big things is if you're going to they balance my checkbook for me. So they have access to my bank account. If you're going to give somebody access like that, you got to trust them. Really, they have access to all my passwords. They have full control. Well, Christy does. I'm not going back to the slide, but she takes really good care of me. Her and her husband are very loyal. So if you want to talk to me about that, I'd be happy to help you in any way that I can with that. You can hire them through me if you'd like to. I don't know that I've struggled with this. Right now I'm reading Grant Cardone's 10X, the 10X rule. I don't know that there's a right answer after reading that book. I would have argued with it before that book, but he's challenging my way of thinking. So it's almost like they all got to play together, and they got to play together nicely in order for this to work. And I don't know there's one word that describes it all, so then you kind of got to look at back to motivation and purpose and all that. Like all that stuff plays into this. And some of those words are going to be powerful for you, some of them aren't. Like intentionality was powerful for me. And actually, it was powerful because of this. B.J. Fogg from Stanford, he has a TED Talk worth watching. He wrote a book called Tiny Habits, The Small Changes That Change Everything. So what he did was, he looked at doing a new behavior one time, and then making that into a span of time, and that enabled him to do it from now on. Over here you've got doing a familiar behavior, doing it one time, maintaining it and maintaining that from now on. Increasing a behavior intensity, one time, increasing and increasing. Decreasing a behavior, and then the black of stopping a behavior. Now, that doesn't make total sense till you see the next slide. What he found was, I'm going to point it out and talk about it. High motivation or low motivation is the threshold here on that'd be the y-axis, right? And then the x-axis is hard to do or easy to do. What he found was that if it had low motivation, but it was easy to do, people would do it. Everything outside of the red line here means that you're going to do it, okay? Everything back here means you're not going to do it. So if it was high motivation and hard to do, people were going to do it. But if it was low motivation and hard to do, nobody's going to do it. Interesting. So he's from Stanford. He did this study. He noticed that motivation, ability, and a trigger are the core motivators. It's a great TED Talk, by the way. It's really worth watching. Time, money, effort, cycles, deviance, and routine are the simplicity factors. And then the triggers. The triggers are the important part. You have facilitator, like me, a coach. You have a spark, or you have a signal. What he found was this. If you have a trigger that you say, when I do this, you're actually going to start to do the things that you want to do. His trigger was this. He said, when I go to the bathroom, I'm going to do 25 push-ups. Some people have said to me, that's kind of disgusting because you don't want to do that on the bathroom floor. I know, I didn't ask the guy if he actually did it, but he did 25 push-ups. Well, think about it. Now you're doing 25 push-ups, not too hard to do. You're doing it 4 or 5 times a day. What?
It depends on who you are with those 25 push-ups.
Yeah. Well, you do them start on your knees. They're easier to do that way. So, but what he found was that trigger caused him to do the behavior. Drink a glass of water, I do this. Think about it. When you go to bed, you've got triggers. When I get ready for bed, I brush my teeth. It's a trigger. So he found that these triggers actually help us achieve what we're trying to achieve. But if we have high motivation and it's easy to do, we're likely to be very successful with it. But if it has low motivation, we really don't want to do it. Like, for example, not eating pizza or cutting the carbs out of your diet or running 3 miles. If it has low motivation and it's hard to do, you're not going to do it. Very interesting. So that's one thing I wanted to show you tonight. His book's worth a read, and the TED Talk is too. It is called, let me go back here. Tiny Habits, the small changes that change everything. Now, the next book that I want to show you that was life-changing for me is called The Slight Edge. It's part of a multi-level marketing organization. I kind of wrote it off like immediately. I was like, oh, I don't want to get, I think it was Life Leadership or something like that. The author of it is the director of that. But I read the book, and it was actually really, really good. So I shouldn't have discredited him. And by the way, we're good at doing that as human beings, discrediting somebody before we should even discredit them. So give people a chance. This guy had some really good stuff to say. So what he found was that our philosophy, our attitude, our actions, our results, and our lifestyle have the ability to affect the curve of our life. And he says this: there's no such thing as stasis or cruise control. You're either going up or you're going down. You're either increasing or decreasing. So when I meet with clients and they seem like they're on that cruise control, I call them out on it immediately. Now, I do understand there's such thing as achieving a goal, getting to a plateau, and taking a moment of rest. I think that's healthy for all of us, as long as you're thinking about what's my next plateau. Maybe you might not be ready to start the climb, but you're thinking about it. So what he found is that what's uncomfortable early becomes comfortable later. We exercise now, we do better later in life. We don't exercise now, we don't do better later on in life. It's easy to not exercise now, but we're going to reap the consequences later. What's comfortable early becomes uncomfortable later. That's the downward. So he's realized that everything, including your life, is a curve. Your daily choices determine which curve you're on. Back to behaviors. This is where I got onto the behaviors stint. Choices are our behaviors. They're very often small ones. You know what? I'm guilty of this one. It's the weekend. I can have a bowl of ice cream. Well, I do that on Tuesday night too. So, before I know it, I'm gaining weight. Oh, you know what? I'm too tired. I didn't work out this morning. I'm not going to do it tonight. I worked hard today. I deserve a rest. Well, the exercise, 20 minutes of my life, it's not going to kill me, at the end of the day. He's realized that you pay a bigger price in the long run, and you have 95% failure if you're going to be comfortable now and allowing yourself to be uncomfortable later. It's very, very true. We watch people all over our culture doing it all the time. And the thing is, we can put them down all we want, but we're guilty of doing it ourselves. So it doesn't really help us to point the finger, yeah, I did, well, look at them. No, you're responsible for you. You're not responsible for them. So if they're sitting at McDonald's and they're eating way too much food and they should stop, that's not for you to judge. Take care of you. Figure out you. All right, so this then turned into this for me. I started to make my own. I found this. I actually believe it's about the 1%. What do I mean by that? The 1% incline always wins the race. The rabbit and the tortoise and the hare. Great example. So he's go, 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 and then he stops, and he loses the race. He could have won that race, but he didn't. And we all do that. We get so excited about something, we're driven and we go, but we put too much effort into it, and what do? Huge incline, and we crash and burn. And we end up down here, moping. We have this family rule, playing games, no moping, no gloating, because we're a very competitive family. So when we play games as a family, sit down and play a card game, no moping, no gloating. Well, that's down here. What happens? You're moping. You're frustrated. You're losing your confidence. So we also have the stasis, the cruise control, and that eventually crashes and burns. We all know people that are on a slight decline. We also know people that are on a huge decline. They're making foolish decisions about their life, and they're going to crash and burn. At the end of the day, if we focus on 1% in each critical area of our life, and I'll get to that in a second, each critical area of our life, 1%, we're going to have growth. That's all you want. Because you're going to be able to maintain that. You're not going to be able to maintain this. There's no way to maintain that. So you're better off to have 1%, and 1% 100 times equals 100%. There you got it. Okay? So the final one, what is the goal? Grant Cardone has some interesting things to say. You need to have a can-do attitude. Go 10 times higher than what you think you're capable of achieving. So you got to have confidence. Believe greater. You guys have all heard of Grant Cardone, right? Yes? No? Believe that I will figure it out and stop limiting yourself. Okay? And then the final one. Put in 10 times more effort than what you're doing. So I run into a lot of people that want to start their own business, and they're putting in maximum effort, and they're not getting it. It's just not happening. And very often they're at that spot where they're just going to give up. I just had a friend of mine do it here recently. He put a bunch of money into starting a business and gave up. Grant Cardone says, put in 10 times more effort. And the reason for that is we always underestimate how much effort something's going to take, right? I do it. If we're thinking that it's going to take this much effort, but it actually takes this much, well, then we need to realign how much effort, time it's really going to take to do that thing. And so that's kind of coming back to the goals. If we have a goal and we put 10 times the effort into it, yeah, we do need to redo the goal at the end, find a new goal, yes. But a goal does give you a place to celebrate. It gives you that plateau where you can take a pause and catch a breath and enjoy the moment. I don't know. You guys will have to think about behavior, habit, goal, and what you think is the right answer or what combination is the right answer for you. Also, keep in mind we're all different as human beings. Some of us are very excitable and we drive towards something and then we lose our momentum. Other people are able to do that 1%, but then they really lose clarity on getting excited about the dreaming out here. Those excitable people are really good at dreaming. So you got to think about what's right for you. So I have this tool called the Wheel of Life, and what we do is we look at, I think it's about 10 or 12 different areas of life. We have hobbies and recreation, finances, fitness and health, friends, family, marriage, spiritual life, personal growth, home environment, career, community service, and other. Because some people were like, I want to do time management, or they had a category in there. So the others for them, those people that have that extra thing that they want to add to it. What we do is, on another sheet, we rate on a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you fall? So if you were, let's do fitness and health. I want each of you in your mind to think about, okay, where would I rate myself on my fitness and health? 1 being absolutely horrible. I should die and fall over right now. 10, that's morbid, I'm sorry. No, 10 is, man, I'm doing amazing. What are some of your numbers? 5, what was yours?
9.
Not good. 4? 7? Nice. Okay. I'd say I'm about a 5. I need to put, that's one thing, that's my vice. I haven't figured out how to perfect that yet. But I can't, a coach that's overweight just isn't good. So I've been working at it. It just doesn't work, does it? Pardon me?
Those who can't coach. In terms of athletes, like if you can't do it anymore, they coach.
Yeah. Yeah. So, by the way, I try to practice what I preach, so I do work really hard. And you can ask my wife; she's a testimony to that, or she will testify to that. So we said fitness and health. We heard a whole bunch of numbers, and what you do on this, it's a printable sheet. You fill in, you scratch it into the number of where you would be. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be right there. So you fill it in, shade it in with a magic marker, and what you do is you create this wheel that is like all disjointed. And at the end, you say, okay, well, how's that wheel actually going to roll? It's not going to roll too well, right? And so it gives you a glance as to where you're out of balance in your life, where you could be more balanced, what you feel confident about. I have had people give me a 1. Very scary. I almost referred them to a counselor because I'm not a counselor, by the way. But yeah, it's a very healthy. And so if any of you want this, I can send it to you later. You can go through it and just give it, print it out and do it a couple times a year. See how you're doing. It's great to come back around to. All right. The other thing that I look at frequently is with goals in specific is a lot of times people don't actually map out what needs to happen for that goal to happen. They say, I want to do this, but they don't create the plan behind it. So we have a goal category, estimated time investment to do that goal. Very, very, very important. What is the goal? And then the who, when, why, and the what. Who, when, where, and why. That's all up top. This is the success. This is your reward. And these are the steps along the way that you need to do. And then you need to have checkpoints of who and when are going to check in with you on it. Now you could have 50 steps or 12 steps or 5 steps, doesn't matter. But the concept is there that it's good for you to actually write out this, with specificity what the goal is. Very, very important.
Question?
Yes?
So how do we know? I mean, obviously, some of those steps, some goals will only require 7 steps, some will require 3 steps, some will require all 15 lines or however many you had up there. What is a mechanism for me to know if I am breaking down my goal into steps, whether I wrote down 3 steps, but really 2 of them should be broken into 3 steps
That's
each?
great.
How do I know? Does that make sense?
That does, yeah.
Hire you as a coach. Got
Yeah.
it.
I would say think about the duration of time that you can focus on a task. For you, I guess it's what, 2 or 3 minutes? Sorry, Judah. I couldn't resist. No, but I mean, think about.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
I'm sorry, Judah. I shouldn't have done that.
That's all right.
You pick the duration of time that you normally can actually focus on a task, and then you think about the steps and say, okay, well, how much can I fit into this? And so that's the way I would break it apart. I'd actually think about it from a time standpoint. If you're the type of guy or gal that says something's going to take you half an hour and you always underestimate it, my mom always said when I was a kid that if my dad said it was going to take an hour, it was going to take 3 hours. If you're that person, just triple it. Be nice to yourself. Be real with yourself. Because I do that. I actually block out more time than I need. Then if I get it done early, it feels great. And so I would say look at how much time you can actually focus on one thing. And then also break it apart into the steps. That was basic, but you could break it apart into many steps as you want. It is sequential. It has to be sequential. There is a sequential sequence to it. Like now, sometimes you might break off into spider webs, but it's always going to come back around to the end of it. And honestly, maybe breaking it out doesn't make sense for you because then you have too many lateral focuses going on. I don't know if I'm helping you, Judah. We can talk about it more over.
No, you're definitely helping.
Over a cup of coffee, but so this is. This is more of a business thing, but I wanted to show it to you in case it'd be helpful to some of you. We're coming close to the end here. It's amazing how time flies. I hope you guys are enjoying it and you're captivated and you're not bored. But if you are, I apologize. But what I've found in business is that a lot of people struggle with the business running them instead of them running their business. And my personal belief is that if you have the right people doing the right steps, your business will be very successful. And oftentimes it's the wrong people or the wrong steps or a combination of both. And what happens is a business owner goes into it gung-ho, and this, by the way, is why I don't typically coach people that are in business less than a year or 2, maybe 3 years, because they think they can figure it out on their own. And God bless them. Go do it, because I did the same thing. But what I found is that after that, they realize, I don't have this all figured out. I need help. I got a coach, my first coach when I was 3 years into business, and I've had a coach ever since. I've spent a lot of money on coaches, but I'll tell you what, and I still have a coach now. I'll tell you what I've learned from them has enabled me to be where I'm at today. I challenge you to do the same. So, your business structure, so important. Now, this is generic, but it's going to apply to some of you in this room, or you're going to at least going to get it. Did I see a question out there? No? Okay. So you have your people. You have your job descriptions, very important. Very, 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 very important. You have your tasks and your roles that are part of those job descriptions, your accountability, your processes, and your automation. When you get a new piece of business, it starts as a lead, it turns into a sale. then you have to deliver that product or service. And then the support of that is what kind of the glue that holds it all together over here. So I tell people you either get business and you do business. Two things. You're at your glue, minimize that as much as possible, but you still got to do it. Get business, do business, and glue. Get, do, glue. That's what I say. 3 major components of a business. Now, I run into a lot of people that love to do strategy. I'm going to build this, I'm going to build that, and they create all these robust systems. They're great, really brilliant. But at the end of the day, it comes down to get, do, glue. Those 3 things. So you have marketing and sales inside of get. You have your operations inside of do. And your glue is your administrative support. You have a scorecard. You track your numbers. You know how you're doing in each of those so that you can watch the flow of business going through and you can calculate your success or project your success in the future. Leads generated, signed contracts, amount invoiced. Maybe the balls dropped would be one to use for admin. That one could be a very different thing, or various different things. I wanted to show it to you because that's how I see business. Now, I don't know if you guys see business that way, but if you were to try to write business on one piece of paper, how it works, that's what I've come up with. I scribbled that in church one day. It came out of my mind, and I was like, okay, I'm not writing this down. Sorry, Pastor, but this is important. Any questions on that? And by the way, I have a 2-year degree, 2-year associate's degree. I don't have an MBA. I don't have a 4-year degree. I grew up on a dairy farm. I've worked really hard. Now, my great-grandfather, I just got to see a sale bill from the 1800s from him the other day. He owned a coal company. He sold coal to people. I know the entrepreneurship is in my family. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I know I am, but I'm self-taught, and you can do it too if you have the guts and you have the desire to do it. Final thing, this is a tool that I use to help you delegate. What I do is I have people take a week and write down everything they do for the whole week. I know it sounds miserable, but it is eye-opening what actually comes out of it. I tell them to do it in 15-minute increments. Take a piece of paper, write out what you did. Now, I do it in Excel. I have a spreadsheet that I use that actually shows me percentages, a pie chart of how I'm using my time. Because I'm geeky like that, but you can do it however you want. Write out what you do for a whole week in 15-minute increments. Be eye-opening, first of all, to show you where you're wasting time. How much time are you on Facebook? But then after that, I take that list with you, and I say, okay, let's break it apart. Now, most people don't think about delegation this way, and I don't know why. This is brilliant. You look at what is a passionate task. What do I love doing and I'm really good at doing? What is a strong task? What is something I'm good at doing, maybe not as passionate about though? What's an average task? Something I can do, okay at doing. What's a draining task? If I could get rid of this today, I'd make so much more money and be so much more happy. I guarantee you, everybody in this room is doing too much of their draining tasks because they feel like they should do it. Stop it. Find out what you like doing and stop doing these things here. So what I do with my clients is we start on this list and we get rid of it. Gone. Delegate it, stop doing it, whatever. Then we work on this list till they're only left with these 2 lists. Then we decide, do they still want these or not? And eventually, we may even work them down to just the passionate things that they love to do. That's what I've done with my overseas team. They help me with all the stuff that I hate doing. I don't want to do bookkeeping. I'm sorry. I want to know my numbers, but I don't want to do bookkeeping. I don't know. You guys probably have some of that stuff too. Yeah, go ahead.
It reminds me of a thing I did with my team where we have have-tos and get-tos.
Yeah.
And it's amazing whenever you start comparing people's have-tos and get-tos that some people really love your have-tos. So where you can actually give it to them where they really like doing that, and you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
And so working with a team like that and having that collaboration with your tasks it was really helpful in terms of productivity.
That exercise goes great in helping to write job descriptions. It's huge because then you get to discover what your team loves to do and what they hate doing and what they don't like doing. And Now, don't empower them too much because you may have to give them something they don't like doing because you're the boss, but keep that in mind. I think that's all. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Yep. Thank you, everybody. Hope that was powerful.
Tune in next time to the Central Pennsylvania Real Estate Investors Meetup podcast, keeping you up to date with what is happening in the York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania real estate markets.